Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 381, and today's date is June 3rd, 2014, and the title of this episode is Warning, 2 weeks to prepare for a cyber attack on bank accounts. And right now, there is a warning out there telling us there is a cyber attack coming, and we need to be prepared for what is about to happen, because we understand the United States government, the central bankers, are completely losing control around the world. We take a look at the Middle East. What do we see? Well, we see the people in Libya. They are rising up. They are fighting back. They are trying to push out that puppet regime, and they are doing it at this time. This is why the United States has come in and brought in a assault ship that is off the coast of Libya with 1,000 Marines. We have countries telling their people to get out of the country at this time. There are travel advisories, warnings, and we know something is about to happen there. Syria, there are elections happening right now. Assad is favored to win, and right now it looks like he is going to be the winner. No real surprise there. And we understand in Jordan there are 13,000 plus soldiers training in a drill at this time. And we realize that there have been reports out there saying that Assad has been hiding chemical weapons, hiding biological weapons. They will not let the 7 to 8% chemical weapons stash out of the country at this time. The paid mercenaries are instructed to keep it inside the country. We understand Obama was out there saying Assad has no future whatsoever in Syria. They kicked out all the government officials inside the United States, closed the embassies, then brought in the paid mercenary and said, now you are the acting government at this time, our puppet regime, and we will be dealing with you. The United States doesn't want Geneva III talks. They don't want to talk about anything else except removing Assad at this time. And we see what's happening in Ukraine. Ukraine is completely falling apart. They are maneuvering and bombing Donetsk, Lugansk, Kharkov, and it's continuing. They're using their anti-terrorism forces against Ukrainian people, and we already understand that there are paid mercenaries inside the country handling this at this time. And from all that we've seen and everything that's been happening, our government officials have continually reminded us of what? A cyber 911, a virtual Pearl Harbor, so we know that they are planning to do something. We know that something is happening, and in the past couple of months, they've been showing us these cyber attacks against Target, Neiman Marcus. Of course, they've been using this to create their executive orders and to get CISPA passed, but they've also been letting the public know that we are vulnerable to this type of an attack. And we understand that the stock market, the BAT system, the NASDAQ, all have kill switches implemented at this time. So when the market comes down, they will have the ability to stop it. And right now, this report is out there, and it's saying that you can expect something big to happen. And this is what we've been telling everyone to prepare, not to keep that much money in the bank. And again, this is my personal opinion. I try only to keep what I need in there to pay bills, and that is it. The rest is in physical assets because a cyber attack cannot hit, can't do anything to physical assets. And if you have your money, your currency in your hands, you don't have to worry about that. And we understand what they need to do because we understand that the economy is completely crumbling apart. It is falling apart right in front of our eyes, and we see what's happening around the world. There are countries and central banks that are removing the dollar from reserves, and they're adding other currencies, like the yuan, renminbi. China is out there making deals all over the place. We see UK just became a clearinghouse for the yuan/renminbi. We understand that New Zealand has bilateral trade agreements with China, and China is continually doing this around the world. And we realize that the private Western central bankers do not like this. This is a direct threat, and this is why they've been placing their military assets all around the world, encircling Russia and China and containing them. And we're going to get into a little bit more about this cyber attack on these bank accounts a little bit later in this report. But let's get into the economic collapse news. And what are we seeing right now? Well, Of course, they're coming out and they're continuing with their illusions, letting us know that the economy is recovering and we feel that everything is getting better. And right now, U.S. factory orders are doing better than they expected. But of course, if you remove the defense orders, actually factory orders declined by 0.1%. But of course, when you include it, it looks like they have gone up to 0.7%. So really what's happening here, they are manipulating numbers, putting things in there, making it look like we are doing much, much better than we really are. And right now, what is happening, the major financial institutions are now shorting treasuries. Institutional clients have not been this short on treasuries since 2006. JP Morgan's clients survey exposes as the end of this last week, active clients were adding to their shorts. Now, I wonder why they're doing this, because we see China, we see Russia, and other nations selling their treasury bonds, and we see Belgium or a private institution within Belgium purchasing these treasury bonds. They're picking up the slack for the Fed. Of course, the Fed here in the United States has to show us that, we're in a recovery and we're tapering. We're no longer doing this stimulus, but in reality, they really are. All they're doing is channeling money to other places, and they're picking up the slack. But they need to keep everyone in the dark. They have to make sure that you believe we are in some type of recovery. Now, we understand that Congress definitely does not work for the people. And an article out of the End of the American Dream, it seems like the senators are, at least half of them, are millionaires. Now, again, how are these millionaires representing the everyday person? Well, they're not. They're on a completely different level. They do not represent us at all, and we can see this has happened. This is the first time that it happened in U.S. history at this time. And again, when we look at government, it was supposed to be a mixture of the people. They were supposed to represent each facet of life here, and we're supposed to have, maybe a lawyer, maybe a factory worker up there, maybe an accountant, maybe a store clerk, and they were supposed to do this part-time. But of course, our government decided to make this a full-time job, give them the best benefits, the best pay, the best of everything, all the perks, almost like royalty. And that's what we are seeing right now. Now, Russia and China, like we said, they are making agreements with themselves and with many other nations. Russia and China have agreed to set up a joint ratings agency to assess common projects. The issue of setting up independent ratings agency is being discussed. Many countries would like rating agencies to be more objective. In this respect, we have agreed on further cooperation. A Russia-Chinese rating agency will be created using the same instruments and criteria as other rating agencies to assess investment projects of regions and countries. The Russian minister stressed the plan was to make the agency apolitical. Other contracts include a deal with Russia Railways and China Railway Cooperation to cooperate on construction of railway infrastructure at bordering crossings and the routes leading up to them to increase the capacity of railways. They are making other agreements, like in the Aircraft Cooperation and the Chinese COMAC Cooperation signed a memorandum on a cooperation in the prospective program for a wide-body long-haul passenger aircraft. And they're also making a deal and an agreement with the largest Chinese car manufacturer. Great Wall Motors announced that it will launch a plant in Tula region in 2017. The investment in the project will amount to 12 billion to 18 billion rubles, and they are pushing this agenda forward. They are making more and more deals. They're cooperating on pretty much everything, and we're seeing now that the lines have been separated. We have the BRIC nations. We have those nations that do not have the private Western Central Bank. They're not controlled by the private Western Central Bank. And then we have the other nations, the West nations, that are controlled by the private Western Central Banks. Russia and China are expected to cooperate in the monetary policy sector. A report from the World Bank's International Comparison Program earlier this year estimated that China could topple the U.S. economy as the world's biggest in 2014. The two countries, both members with the BRICS economic bloc of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have long been vying to replace the U.S. dollar as the number one global exchange currency. And you can see everything that they're doing. That is the direction they are headed. Now, we have to remember, the United States and the central bankers will not let this happen. They will go down kicking and screaming. They rather start a war, and they will need some type of an event to make this happen. And we can see already with this 2-week warning at this time that this could be the foundation, the path that is leading up to the major event. The Russian financial chief is meeting with a panel of Chinese investors to weigh up the outlooks for mutual investment programs. They are also expected to sign a cooperation agreement for closer ties between the Russian and Chinese Treasury departments. So they are moving this full steam ahead. They are not looking back, and they are trying to get this all done. The United States central bankers realize this, and this is why they have been moving all the military assets and beefing up the funding towards the military. Even though it might look like they haven't, they have increased their budget on nuclear weapons. They are now telling NATO to increase their budget, and we can see the Obama administration is laying out more and more money to beef this up because they realize what is about to happen is that they're going to start this war, they're going to provoke another country, and they're not going to stop until they get this war started. We see it in Ukraine at this time. The United States central bankers are pushing the puppet regime. The bankers are pushing the puppet regime, and they're saying, do not stop until you take control of Ukraine. We don't care if you kill women, children, the people. It doesn't matter. You continue with the assaults. Do not let up, and we're going to see this happen here in the United States, in Europe. They're going to continue with this. They're going to maintain control, especially when this event hits and people are pissed, angry, and we see riots and the economy is falling apart. We are definitely going to see them come out and start taking control of what is happening here in the United States.